Today's lesson is fuselage layout. Now, I'm doing things a little different on this one. We're changing some stuff up. So, I'm just kind of using the basic parameters from the plans. And what I'm going to do here is lengthen the tail 1 inch. We need to see what we have here to work with, and I'm going to give a little kind of a pop on the Inker ruler that I bought. Super nice, super nice. Okay, so lay the plans out, and we're going to make some measurements. I'm going to get some scratch paper so we can mark these, write these measurements down. So the overall length of this, let's use my dressmaker's tape because it's long enough. The overall length of this fuselage is 41 on the fuselage sides. So we're going to lengthen the nose a half an inch and the tail 1 inch. So we're going to have 42 and a half. So that's the first thing we're going to write down. 42.5 overall. And our tail moment on this particular drawing is 16 and a half, but we're going to make ours 17 and a half. .5 tail. And let's see what we have on the nose. Now this is, I'm building a component for a guy, and this is going to be an electric airplane. And Bob has a 10-inch nose on this. We're going to make ours 11. You know, we'll make it 10 3/4. 10 3/4. 10.75 and 17.5 inch tail. So off the datum line, the wing line is 1 3/8. 1 3/8 off the datum wing. And the elevator is 1/2 inch off the datum. So make sure that's right. Yeah, 1/2 inch. 1/2 tail. Okay. So now let's cut some wood. I've selected some clear 3/32 wood. For this we need to first off square up the datum line. And, well, actually we need to make sure this is long enough. What did we say we had to have? 42 and a half. 36, yeah, we got enough here. So we won't worry about the length as of yet. I'm going to have to get out my long 60-inch ruler. We will do this class 1 hour today. We'll see what we can get accomplished in 1 hour of non-stop camera footage. Time is 1:30. So we'll work for an hour. As I told you, these videos, you know, okay, we need to true that up. And all I've done there is put the straight edge on one side and trued it up so we have a mark to work from. And let's mark it so we know which side is which, because we don't want to. So we up. And we'll cut the next one. Remember what I told you about getting comfortable. You gotta be comfortable when you're cutting wood. Okay. So we mark this up. I'm going to cut both pieces at the same time so that they're exactly the same. So what we're going to do is we're going to tack them together. Not only that, it saves the time of cutting two pieces. So just a drop on each corner, because we're going to have to separate them. Make sure they're lined up perfect. Okay, so now we have two pieces glued together, and we have the datum line, which is this line here, marked by the arrow up. And we'll lay the measurements out that we took off the plans. You don't need a pattern to cut anything out of it. It's kind of immaterial. So, let's see what we're going to do here. So we want 10. I think first off we're going to square up one end. That is going to be where our nose ring goes. I have my grandfather's miniature square here. Great grandfather's. Or no, it's grandfather. This line here is rather important. Reason being, it's the thrust line. So we're going to have to do a extra nice job of truing that up. About the easiest way to get a super nice 90 is cut it close first, put your square on it, take your sanding block, hold it all tight, and then sand down to the square until it's perfect. Still little spots, so we're going to keep sanding. I got a long ways to go. Okay, I'm going to make another cut because it, for some reason, it took a chunk out of it when I cut it. Why is that doing that? Okay, let's see what happens now if we can sand any of the little goobers out. That looks better. The reason I'm being so critical with this is what sets the incidence in the motor on the way this is built. So first you have to have a square datum line to measure from. And that's where our nose ring is going to mount, to this area right here. So we'll glue that down. We know this is the top. Okay, that's 90. Let's mark it so we know that's 90. Pencil line. Okay, we want a 10 3/4 nose moment. So we're going to do this a little more exact than normal because I'm going to try my new Incra measuring device, if I can find it. I bought this this Incra ruler. Kind of pricey if you ask me, but you can make exact measurements with this, so we're not going to worry about it. Whatever it is what it is. So put it on the end. and we want 10. So there's the 10, and 3/4 is 12. And it's got holes in here. You have to have a very sharp pencil, but it's exactly 10 3/4. Now coming down from the datum line, I'm going to get the anchor square too. So now we have the nose moment, 10 3/4, and it's 1 3/8 thrust line. So 1, that's 1, and let me see. Let's see, 1/16 is here, so we got 2 3/16, 4, 7/16, 6. And it's missing some marks, so we gotta so it's 1, 2, 4, 8, 12. So it's 12. 1 and 12. One and 12, and make a mark. And then come back here. 1 and 12. And just for the heck of it, I'm going to remeasure with a ruler that yep. I wish I had that square now. 1 and 12. 1 and 12. This is our wing center line. Okay, let's see how long our root rib is. It's 10 1/4. So we measure 10 and 8. This mark here is our trailing edge of the wing. Remember guys, this stuff is not that difficult. Okay, now we have a 17.5-inch tail moment. Well, for that we're going to have to move the ruler. So we got 12. And 5.5. Five. And a half. So that's our tail moment. Not a big deal. Okay, so now I said that it was a 1/2 inch off the datum line for the elevator stabilizer. So we have 16/32. It's a 1/2 inch. And 16/32. This Incra ruler reads down to 64ths. Really a precision item. So now we have the most accurate lines I've ever laid out, because I've never used a ruler that's like a micrometer. So there we go. Now we can start cutting, or at least making some marks on what we've got going here. Now, I don't have an angle finder, so I'm going to use the eyeball finder on the tail line. So what I do is I just take the fuselage sides, line up the two so we see that that is not going to do. Because this piece here does not have to be an exact cut, because we're going to lob off the end. No. We want to get it as long as we can. So it goes from right there to right there. And that's our tail post angle. I don't think I want to use my new ruler as a cutting instrument, straight edge. So we'll use a steel ruler. That ruler was so expensive, I don't want to. I mean, I think it was $20 for a foot. That's a lot of money. Okay, so now we have the tail post cut. But I've also cut my glue joint off, so we have to tack it back together. Alright, now we have to do the same thing for the front. We have to get the angle of the cowl up there. And all this stuff is not a big mystery. Come to think of it, let's dump this long ruler. I don't need this long ruler anymore. Now, if everybody's paying attention, we've had about 15 minutes tops since I've run the tape, and I can see a fuselage already. It's not a big deal. So let's get the angle for the nose here. Line it up. here so I can see it. I'm going to mark this with a pen instead of just cutting it, for the simple fact that I don't want to cut through the plan. So I'm going to mark it with a pen and move it off the plans and cut it on the cutting board. This is a working set of drawings. It's not really plans. You don't need them. You could call me on the phone, I could give you measurements, and you should be able to put it together using my method of the TLAR. So there we go. Alright, so now we have two fuselage sides. We have to cut the wing openings. Matter of fact, let's take some measurements for depth, see what we are there. The depth of this fuselage at the front is 1. Can't even read that, it's so tiny. It's 2 7/8. 2 7/8 there. So let's measure what we got. Here. And that was right at this bend right there. So we need to, we're about an 1/8 inch big, so we're going to mark it off right there. At the trailing edge of the wing, it's 2 7/8. And at the tail post, it comes up 1/8 of an inch. So it's 2 3/4 at the tail. At the trailing edge, 2 7/8. Why is that moving again? To glue her back together. So we got 2 3/4 back here. So it doesn't have a whole lot of taper in this. At the trailing edge here, it's 2 7/8. So let's cut that up. Very slight taper is all. Heck, by the time we whittle it down, there won't be any left. That's a good thing. "20 minutes into this project. Okay. Now I have to figure out if I have those, which I don't. I might have it up there. Maybe. I have an exact template for the opening of this wing. So we're going to use the old pinprick method. To transfer it. Remember, we're cutting both pieces at the same time so that they're exact duplicates. Now this is going to sound bad, but it's the truth. If you happen to be off a few thousandths of an inch or whatever, they're both off the same amount. I sure am glad that I'm getting the emails that these videos are helping. When I was a kid, had no help. Nobody would tell you anything. Back then, everything was a secret. Nobody wanted to tell you nothing. We have a problem. I'm off. How the heck did it get off? Okay. We'll save that. And I'll show you a close-up of what happened, and I'm glad that I caught it. Because if I would have pulled this out and then tried to put it back in, it would have been difficult. So what we have here, if you look at this, the original line was about 1/8 of an inch down here. And that would have put the wing in an up attitude. I guess they call that positive. We don't want any kind of goofy incidents. I mean, some of the engineers type might say, well, you want this positive. I try for 0. So now we're going to sand the opening. The wax paper is glued in some spots on there, and that's not a big deal. When I take this apart, it'll come out. Matter of fact, it's coming out now. There we go. I just didn't want the two fuselage sides glued together. So I got a piece of like 3/4 brass. Put a piece of sandpaper around it. And we're going to sand the leading edge radius. 150. Because when I install the wing here, it'll fit perfectly. Without any gaps. Gaps are no good. Incidents, no good. So I'll take my sanding emery board here. Clean up the edges. Yep, almost a disaster. I'm going to have to glue that too on this side. Come on. All right. This preparation is probably most important. That looks pretty good. Pretty good. Need a little more aggressive sandpaper though to get down to that line. Well, We'll do the final fit when I put the wing on. Well, I'm not going to put the wing on when I fit it up. So that's good. Sand that even. Now, I have my long standing bar. Well, we're coming up on the hour. I think what we're going to have time for today is cut out the airfoil for the elevator stabilizer, and that'll be it. We'll wrap it up for today. And while we're off camera, I'll go ahead and cut some of the bulkheads and things, so you don't have to watch me cut bulkheads, because it's pretty self-explanatory on cutting parts out. But I wanted to make sure that you got to see how to lay out a fuselage accurately. And then I made a bugger, but we did manage to save it. This is a mold buck that we're going to use to mold the nose of this. This fuselage will be set into the mold buck, and it'll put the contour in the nose so that we don't have any sanding to do. We don't have big blocks and things like that, and I'll show you that, and we'll probably get to that tomorrow because that'll be the next thing in line. And I just don't want to have these videos run on for hours and hours and hours of sanding and cutting. We'll get to the RD1 project as soon as I get the plans, I promise. Let's tape that back on there. That way we know what we got there. Okay, so that's that part. Now we're going to, before I end this video today, we're going to lay out the elevator hole with the stabilizer cut out. And I'll show you how we're going to do that. Don't have enough room in this shop. This is just a one room spot. But some people see a lot of nice airplanes come out of here. So anyway, take a piece of regular office paper, lay it over the plans. We need the center line, so that we can have thrust incidence, whatever it's called. Why, I can't see. I made a mistake already. Well, that's why God made erasers. trace this out. Okay, we know that that's a symmetrical airfoil, and we want it to be symmetrical. So what we're going to do is we're going to just fold it in half and cut it out. Let's get a curve here, get a line on it that's a little better. I don't have a French curve. One I had got broken. And how long did that take? We now have the pattern. So we bring that over to the fuselage, transfer it to it. Now you could pinprick this through the plans. However, that's if you're good. However, you leave yourself set up for a chance for incidents, because you can't position that huge plan correctly on this light line. So what I do is just make a little pattern . Cut to the inside of the line, leave the line on, and that way you have wood left for fitment by a few thousandths. Matter of fact, we'll get that stabilizer and we'll test fit this before I cut the video. Okay. Now we have two fuselage sides. let's check the fit of the stabilizer. And with any luck, this should fit perfect. It's a little large. I wonder how that happened. Well, not a big deal. It's a little bit on the loose side, but it'll be fine. So there you have it. This is how I laid up the fuselage sides for this. And tomorrow on Control Line Craftsman we'll have the doublers and the bulkheads, and maybe by then I'll have the hard mount for the nose. So until tomorrow, stay tuned, tight lines.